Yeah, okay, so the authority is, so what are the limits of the authority? What are the boundaries and who you have authority over? It's pretty straightforward. It depends upon primarily what's called an office. So, for example, a husband, because of his office, has authority over his wife because of the fact that he is her head. The wife doesn't have authority over her husband in the spiritual sense, but she does have authority over his body. Now, what does that mean? When you get married, I mentioned this, I think marriage is an exchange of bodily rights in which you give rights of your body over to the other person. So she can do binding prayers for you based upon that right. The husband and the wife as mother has the office over her children, so she can do binding prayers over her children. It is the common consensus, and it seems to bear out in my own experience, that you have, once your children are adopted, before then you don't, but once they're adopted, you have dominion over them or authority over them, and so as a result you can bind them. The jury is out about grandparents because it's once removed and the parents have the direct right and the grandparents don't necessarily. The general consensus is that they don't. Siblings, do they have authority over each other? Not unless it's delegated by the parents. However, it seems to be the one case where people can say binding prayers for their other siblings and they don't get retaliated against. So, and kids, for the same reason, can kind of do it for the parents. We think that it basically comes from the obligations of the fourth commandment. We think that's why they're protected. So, but outside of that context, they don't necessarily have authority. Superiors in a religious order have it over the people, bishops over their priests, etc. Priests can say binding prayers for anybody because they have spiritual authority over all people by virtue of their priesthood. And so you just have to kind of look to make sure that you have that authority. The only exceptions, as I mentioned, are children and siblings. For some reason or another, we think it's kind of the fourth commandment, but they have the ability to say the binding prayers and still be spiritually protected.